Hi, everyone. I'm Deborah Gardner here with Hospitality Today Live, and I am so glad that you have joined us for today because this is our last episode for 2021. And I have a very special guest that is going to help us close out this year on a high note. And I am not going to wait any longer to introduce you to him because I know you have seen him on the show earlier in the year. And I am talking about Mr. David Kliman, CMM. He is also the president of the Kliman Group. That actually is a communication consulting firm that manages all kinds of advisory boards, leadership coaching, facilitating. There is all kinds of things that he does for the meetings industry. He's also a great connector of people, a trend hunter. Oh my gosh, he's a world traveler and he's even a pilot. And above and beyond that, well, he is the co-founder of the Events Industry Council Apex COVID Business Recovery Task Force, which is a big, big deal for all of us this past year. He's also the past international chairman of MPI. He's a top influencer in the meetings industry by North Star Meetings Group and so much more. And I can't wait until you meet him. So hang on, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Print and online, visiblymedia.com. Well, everyone, you all must be very, very happy to see Mr. David Kliman join us today. Hi, David.
Hey, how are you, Deborah? Happy end of the year.
Oh, I know. Happy the end of the year to you as well. And I cannot believe 2021 is over, but I know we're going to hear from you on what's coming up in the hospitality industry above and beyond what we're going to talk about today. But I'm just so happy that you are here. And people that don't know you should, first of all. But second of all, they probably don't know the extensive background that you have in mainly the meetings and events industry, but all of hospitality. You're previously, you've worked as a VP for Fireman's Fund Insurance. You've been in the hotel industry. I mean, you've been around.
I've been around. Lots of different jobs, hotel. I was a full-time corporate event professional and head of corporate communications at a big financial services company. And now I've been out on my own for a good long while, as you say, facilitating these think tanks in the meetings and events space, which is really where I get my data and my networking. And I'm happy to share what I've learned.
Oh, I'm so excited. And I know our viewers have lots of comments and questions to ask you as well. So hopefully they come on board. If not, we're going to give them information how to contact you because yes, you are in the know and you have been following the show all year long. And as you know, we have covered so much. We're talking about 52 weeks of subjects from audiovisual to transportation to technology, DJing, marijuana, human trafficking, the vaccine, ethics, the skill sets, meeting measurements. The list goes on and on. Were there any that really inspired you or made you think and change about the way you view the hospitality industry at all?
I think earlier in December, Sandy Bybach from Toronto was on talking about human trafficking and human slavery. And that really resonated with me as a human, as a traveler, as an industry leader, because I think we have a collective responsibility to address this issue. And there's lots of different ways that we can do that. And I think Sandy was really articulate about that. and was very honest. She said, look, we probably will never solve this issue, but there are things that we can do. And I took that to heart and seriously.
Yeah, I remember that episode, and the stories that she would share was just so disheartening, to know that this is really what's going on in our world, let alone in the hospitality industry. And to be aware of something like this, I think it's a huge need. And I know you agree too, that we really need to step up and be more aware of this, because it's affecting everyone.
And that events are part of it, because certainly at large and smaller events, there is the potential and the reality for human trafficking. So knowing the signs, know how to address it, know how to call authorities and report and collect data on this is really our collective responsibility. Not to confront, she was really clear, you don't want to confront people that you perceive that are being trafficked or their traffickers, because that can be quite dangerous. But there are ways that you can get authorities involved.
Yeah, that was a golden nugget right there, because the first thing we want to do is we want to help and jump in. That's our reaction in the hospitality industry. We just want to solve an issue or a problem immediately. But something like this can put your own life in jeopardy. And that is what she was expressing. Don't go there.
Right. Yeah.
Don't even
So
go
that was
there.
just a really a compelling interview that you did. And brava for addressing the tough topics.
Yeah, and this is just the beginning of tough topics, because we've been going through the COVID situation, and the fact of meetings and events being planned and then postponed, then canceled, then planned again. I believe that we've had so many guests that, although they were here to talk about events or training or the venue, the big venues and stuff, it seemed like COVID, the pandemic topic, still was leaked in there as well, because we just can't seem to brush this off. We all have a different perspective, opinion, and stories behind it.
Yeah, and it is not over. And I know that there are great regional differences in the United States and around the world, but I believe in science and I believe in data. And with now 800,000 people in the United States who have died, and 50 million people that have had COVID, most of whom survived, but the impact on travel and tourism and meetings and events is enormous. And that's why, frankly, I am only guardedly optimistic about 2022. Certainly, meetings and events and travel has restarted, but now with the Delta variant still hospitalizing many people in the United States, and where I am in Pima County, Arizona, in Tucson, we have 6 ICU beds open as of the other day. These are not normal times. And because of that, I am only guardedly optimistic, and Delta and Omicron will continue to have an impact on our industry. And I'll give you a very personal opinion. Get vaccinated. We have an obligation to society and to each other. We've all gotten vaccinated in this country for our entire lives against measles and mumps and all the other diseases, and we didn't know what was in those vaccines. Now, some people believe that they don't know what's in the COVID vaccine. Well, I say get over it for the sake of society. Believe in science.
Do you also believe that we should be getting the booster, David?
I do. I do, because I believe what the scientists are saying. I don't believe in conspiracies, and I believe the booster is effective because I follow the science.
So what are the meeting professionals, what should they be doing out there? Because right now, the meetings and events that are going on, it seems like each and every one have their own way of accepting of moving on. One meeting might be where you come and you just show your vaccination card. The other one, you come in, you've got to get a test. What do we need to do there to help come together to make sure that everybody knows what they need to be doing or what they need to have available when they come and attend to, one of those meeting and events?
Yeah, and it's a tough question because I don't know that there's one right answer. Certainly following the science, following CDC or whatever country you're in, the Centers for Disease Control and the health authorities. I have a personal preference for a fully vaccinated event, the way IMEX did it, or the way PCMA is going to be doing it in just a couple of weeks in Vegas,
Right.
where you have to be fully vaccinated to attend. And I facilitated think tanks all through the fall that followed that procedure, where we required people to prove that they were fully vaccinated in order to attend a meeting. And I'm proud to say that we had no breakthrough events where anyone got COVID at any of those events, because we did tracing on all those events. Now, granted, they're smaller, but MPI, PCMA, IMEX, they're all following these procedures, and I think it's the smart thing to do.
That's good. Well, and of all people that would know would be you, being on that COVID recovery task force from the beginning.
Yeah,
And
day one.
I mean, and seeing everything go like this throughout the year has got to be a tailwind of trying to stay up with everything going on. But I know the media and the news have a lot of influence as well for our decision making for meetings and events. But again, of all people that are on top of it is you, and everyone should be listening to what you have to say.
Well, look, we're living with uncertainty.
Right.
The business models, and I've heard this over and over again, the pre-pandemic business models, whether you're in retail, whether you're in travel, whether you're in meetings and events, those business models no longer apply. And so we're living with uncertainty in an unprecedented way. And we've got to get used to that and find ways to work through this.
Yes, I agree. And it goes down to, what worked yesterday doesn't work today.
Yep.
So we might as well get used to that. You're absolutely right. Well, then go ahead and tell us, David, what do you see coming, to our workforce? What does the future of work look like in our industry, or maybe that has effects on the rest of the world too?
Yeah, I think it's defined by one word: flexibility. If you're running a hotel, a convention center, an airline, an airport, you need to have a flexible workforce. And I was at a meeting recently with a major hotel company that is recruiting thousands of jobs for people at all levels. And they were talking about their culinary staff, where pre-pandemic, they were looking for people to work traditional hours, a 40-hour work week, 5 days a week. And now those pre-pandemic business models might be relevant for some, but they're not relevant for everyone. And so a major hotel company or companies have embraced flexibility, where they might have a prep, someone working prep in a kitchen that might be able to work 2 or 3 hours, 4 days a week. And that's fine. They can do that. They want to attract people to do that, and have that type of flexibility for whatever reason they need it, because they might have childcare responsibility or elder care responsibilities, or they might be working a second or a third job. So flexibility marks the future of the workforce.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good thing to know, because what it really stems to is, the leadership level. That is something that they're not used to from employees. but it seems like the employees want that more than ever as well. But how's the leadership level now that, you do a lot of coaching in that area, you work with a lot of leaders? Are they accepting that, or what is their game plan to help that flexibility come to fruition?
I think the smart ones realize they have no choice.
Okay.
And that if they're going to lead effectively, they're going to lead through flexibility and empathy and understanding.
Okay.
And that is a successful plan going forward. And I see it happening every day with the leaders that I speak to, with the leaders whom I'm coaching, that they embrace it in an empathetic way. If you're someone who's successful and making a lot of money, your needs are going to be different from someone who is working paycheck to paycheck, that might need a different sense of what their workplace is about. And having empathetic leaders that understand that, embrace it, and lead through that is a very effective course.
Very, very smart. That's brilliant to mention, because yes, today's leaders are going to have to look at things much differently than ever before. And hoping that a lot of them have been watching the show all year, because the people that work directly in the industry that have been on this show have been expressing what they want, what they foresee, where they want to go in this industry to make it better. That's what it's all about, is just to make it better.
And I think it's the same for event professionals that are planning meetings, that their pre-pandemic standard operating procedures, their handbooks, some of that still applies, but they really have to take a leap to this new normal, this post-pandemic or in the middle of the pandemic, and understand that, first of all, their duty of care is different.
Yes.
And that attendee well-being. And, they have a responsibility for attendee well-being that is not just physical, but is also psychological. We've all been through collective trauma.
Yes.
And as people because of the pandemic, and as people are showing up and attending meetings and events, their heads are in a different space from pre-pandemic. And the smart planners that understand that and can be, again, empathetic, like those leaders, will prevail.
Right. Very good point. Because, even pre-pandemic, I don't think our industry realized how stressful it is on attendees. First of all, they have to, clear their desk of their work before they leave to attend a conference of some sort. They have to let their family and friends know that they're leaving. They leave their family and friends for a number of days, and they're eating different foods than they're used to at home. So the stress level has always been there for attendees and participants. Now look what they're going to be going through. Do they even want to go to a meeting or a conference?
And that sentiment, that attendee sentiment, that planner sentiment of, do I want to opt in? Do I want to be in a group space?
Right.
And answering that question is an important thing. And then understanding all the other layers that have come to be important in the travel and tourism and meeting event space. And, just a few of them: sustainability. This fall, we had the COP conference, COP26, where world leaders and business leaders came together in Scotland to talk about sustainability. And, some people would default to kind of traditional sustainability of environmental, but that's just part of it. It's gender equality, human trafficking, anti-human trafficking. It's equity, inclusion, diversity, access, all these things that have direct impact on the hospitality industry.
Yes.
And both leaders, line workers, event professionals who really understand this and can embrace this, and I'll say it again, be empathetic towards it, are the ones that will be able to really speak to these, not just trends, but realities that are in front of us.
Right. And the reality is, 1 in 10 people work in the hospitality industry worldwide. We're one of the largest I think the government's just the largest, and then there's us. I mean, larger than the pharmaceuticals, the
Larger
retail,
than the auto
auto
industry.
industry. I mean, people have to really realize how big we really are and how much we have an impact on this world.
Yeah.
And so I think that if people would start embracing the fact of all these topics and subjects that we've covered this entire year and take them seriously, I think we're gonna provide our clients, our customers, our friends and family a much better world. Bottom
Yep.
line.
And look, what's happening outside hospitality, obviously COVID impacts, but these greater issues that we're seeing around the world about supply chain,
Yes.
that filters right
Yes.
down to restaurants,
Yes.
hotels, convention center, getting swag for meetings, paper products, linen, all these
Yes.
things that have a material impact on travel, tourism, and hospitality, meetings, and events. We are in a connected world, and COVID proved that.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Well, and all we want is everybody to come back to the hospitality industry. We need the staffing. We need people to want to jump in and into an industry that we have a lot of fun. You get to really be creative and utilize your talents and skills like probably no other industry. And the relationships are incredible.
Yep.
We're just one big happy family. So,
Yeah,
gosh,
and there's also, I mean, it's that, and it's also the fact that this is a career,
oh,
and
yes.
communicating that to people, either young people coming out of high school or advanced degrees, colleges and advanced degrees, or people that are looking for a career change, that there is opportunity here. But look, I'm not going to be Pollyanna. This industry was on its knees at the beginning of the pandemic, and I think people, a huge number, millions of people have left the hospitality industry, and we need to attract people back and make it clear that this is a career path. And I think doing it through articulating that there can be flexibility and advancement, diversity, inclusion, equity, and access is the only way it's going to really work.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. But I love the fact that you said the opportunity is there. And oh boy, is it ever. That's why I've been in it for 30 years and so have you. So it's like there's so much to do. There's so much to accomplish. There's so many things to see and meet people. It's just a wonderful industry. And that's why you and I are still in it, no doubt. So
Indeed.
are there any other things that you foresee in the future of our industry that that you feel that would make a big impact to the world and to all the guests that we've had all year long?
Well,
Anything else going to be happening?
I do think that sustainability in its broadest sense, both environmental and human, is core to the hospitality industry. And we have a responsibility and a lot of skin in this game. It's how we will attract people to come back to hospitality in terms of workforce. It's how attendees will feel welcome at events. And I think that's a major issue. Another one, kind of unrelated though, is I think we're experiencing digital fatigue. And I am a huge believer in face-to-face, but technology is part of our world. But because it's been enforced on us through lockdown and through COVID related issues, I think humans in general have a strong desire to reconvene face to face. And we've been 21 months forced into a digital virtual reality, and it's been fatiguing. And I think you'll see that play out in 2022. And I hopefully will mean that more people will want to reconvene face to face and travel.
Yeah, we do miss that face to face, don't we?
We do.
But you're right. The technology really, we were very slow at getting technology into the industry. But you're right. Once this hit, boy, it just exploded and
Yeah.
exploded even more. And I know there's a lot of talk about, okay, so is hybrid or virtual or face-to-face, is it still going to be hanging in there? I think North Star Meeting Group just did a survey recently, and I think like 65% of meeting and event professionals are really looking forward to just doing face-to-face. So we might have to be prepared to flip and go that direction now.
Yeah, I think, meeting specific, there will probably always be for some meetings a digital component because it allows access and ability to have a much wider audience. But broad strokes, the concept of being face to face to get business done is by far the most successful.
Yes, I totally agree. So, David, was there, looking back, was there anything that maybe you learned, lessons learned that you're going to utilize in the coming year? Is there anything that you thought, well, you know what, this was hard, but you know what, I know I'm going to, enjoy utilizing this in the future? Anything to that effect?
I think, if anything, I've become more focused on being flexible and understanding that having a mindset of looking beyond one way and having greater flexibility in thought, in what I'm seeing, and trying to understand every option, even in lockdown, even virtually. I think that's probably the biggest lesson for me coming out of the last 20 or 21 months of enforced COVID reinvention, that I believe and I hope I'm thoughtfully more flexible.
That's a good one, because that's really hard as planners. We're so used to being, rigid on exactly
Yes,
what needs to be done. And here, what happened to planners was not planned.
right.
And so
No,
to
no handbook.
learn, that's great. Flexibility is huge. And I think you're going to find moving forward that a lot of opportunities will open up even more so for you just from being flexible.
Yep.
So that's a good point. Very, very good point. Wow. Well, before we close today, is there anything else that you would like to share to kind of wrap up this new year and moving on to something bigger and better in 2022 that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I encourage people to know the facts, to read, to look at the data. There's so much out there. Deborah, you mentioned North Star as a great source, Events Industry Council, all the organizations out there. American Express delivers great data, but
Yes.
data matters, and believe in the facts and make sure you're looking across the board. Don't just look in one place. But
Good.
facts matter, science matters, and it applies to our industry.
That's so true. And be flexible on opinions and perspectives, because there's so many different ways of looking at things today.
Absolutely.
So why not gather all that knowledge and then make your decisions and your opinions and perspectives from there? Wow.
Indeed.
Very
Don't
good.
just listen to one pundit,
Right.
including me. There's many out there.
Totally agree. That's a good point. Very good point. Well, I know our viewers are going to want to stay in touch with you.
Please.
So I'm going to put your contact information, your email, your website. What other ways is a good way for people to contact
LinkedIn,
you?
Twitter, just connect with me on LinkedIn or Twitter, or drop me an email. You can even call me if you want. Old school, but I welcome the outreach. And Deborah, thanks for doing these interviews.
Well, it's been a pleasure. And thank you so much for staying in touch and being such a big fan of Hospitality Today Live. You have been so terrific in following us and commenting, asking questions, and being so involved. It's exactly what our industry needs to do, is to actually stay involved by supporting shows or situations like this. And you certainly have. So we want to say thank you from all of us here at HTL. So we appreciate you. Well, thank you so much, David, and have a great holiday and a happy new year.
Happy New Year. Best to all.
Well, there you go. Was that a great episode? That was terrific. And I tell you what, David is one that really knows this industry well. He's been there, he's done that, he's been completely involved and still is. And how he finds time to do other things, I have no idea. But he is a brilliant man, very experienced. And so you'll want to stay in touch with David Kliman with the Kliman Group. So don't forget to stay in touch with him and reach out to him. He would love that. So other than that, we want to close with thanking you all for being with us this entire year. We're so thankful that we have you to watch this show and to stay up with us. And you're going to want to definitely know more about what we're going to be doing for the new year 2022. So if there's something you have in mind, any topics that you want to talk about, or maybe you even want to be on the show, please contact us at hello@hospitalitytodaylive. So until then, I want to say thank you so much from our entire staff, our homes to yours. Happy holidays, and of course, Happy New Year. See you soon.